It started with a simple message. I asked my sister for $150. Not a loan, not a handout, just a short-term favor until my card cleared. She laughed. Not even a polite one. The kind you send as a voice note, so everyone can hear how ridiculous the request sounds. $150, she said. What are you, 12? You always pretend you're independent, but the moment life taps you on the shoulder, you come begging. Maybe if you learned how money works. Hey, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the bell. Your support means everything and helps me keep creating. Thank you so much. The family group chat lit up immediately. My parents didn't defend me. They never do. My mother sent a thumbs up emoji to my sister's message. My father replied with, "She has a point." I didn't argue. I just typed, "No worries. Forget I asked." What they didn't know was why I needed the money. I was already at the bank, sitting on a cold leather chair, waiting for my number to be called. The $150 wasn't for me. It was to test something, to see how far the disrespect had gone. My sister walked in 10 minutes later. She'd insisted on coming with me, saying she wanted to watch me explain myself to a teller like a child. She wore that smug smile she saves for moments when she feels taller than everyone else. When my number flashed, we walked up together. The teller smiled politely. "How can I help you today?" I slid a small slip of paper across the counter. "I'd like to make a withdrawal." My sister leaned on the counter, arms crossed. "Careful," she said loudly. "There might be a minimum balance." The teller typed in the account number, then stopped. Her smile froze, not disappeared, just paused, like her brain needed a second longer than usual. "I'll need to call my manager," she said quietly. My sister rolled her eyes. "See, I told you." The manager arrived, then another employee, then the branch supervisor. The screen reflected in the glass. I could see the numbers upside down, but I didn't need to read them. I already knew what was there. The manager cleared his throat. "Ma'am, how much did you say you wanted to withdraw?" I looked at my sister. She was still smiling. $3.8 billion, I said, "from my primary account." The room went silent, and that was the moment my sister realized. The joke was never on me. For a full 10 seconds, nobody moved. Not the manager, not the teller, not my sister. The only sound in the bank was the hum of the air conditioner and the faint click of a keyboard somewhere behind us. My sister's smile didn't disappear right away. It cracked, just a little, like glass under pressure. 3.8, what? She said, laughing again, but this time it came out thin. "That's not funny. You can't even borrow $150. The manager didn't laugh. He glanced at the screen again, then at me, then back at the screen as if expecting the numbers to rearrange themselves into something normal. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "this account is flagged as high restriction. I'm going to ask you to step into the private office." My sister straightened. "Why does she get an office?" "I'm her family." The supervisor answered before I could, "This doesn't concern you." That's when her face finally changed. Inside the office, the door shut softly, sealing us off from the lobby. The manager sat across from me, hands folded, posture stiff in a way that said training manuals had never prepared him for this. "I need to verify your identity again," he said, "for compliance." I handed over my ID, then a second document, then a third. He scanned each one in silence. The screen reflected in his glasses. His jaw tightened. "Your sister believes you're financially unstable," he said, choosing his words carefully. I nodded. "That's the story she tells. And the reason you requested $150 earlier, to see if she still enjoyed humiliating me when she thought I needed her." He didn't respond to that. Instead, He pressed a button on the phone. We need corporate verification. Level red. On the other side of the glass wall, I could see my sister pacing. She was on her phone now, probably texting our parents, probably laughing it off, probably saying the bank was being dramatic. 10 minutes passed, then 20. A man in a dark suit arrived. No name tag, no smile. He didn't introduce himself to my sister. He walked straight into the office and closed the door behind him. Ms. Hale, he said, sitting down. I'm with private assets. He slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents my sister had never seen. Trust filings, transfer confirmations, numbers with more commas than she'd ever counted. You're listed as the sole beneficiary, he continued. The funds were transferred into this account over the last 8 years through layered holdings. We've been monitoring activity, but have not restricted access. I leaned back. Good. He hesitated. May I ask why you've never used the account publicly? I thought of family dinners, of jokes at my expense, of my sister telling people I was bad with money, of my parents believing her without question. Because silence is useful, I said, outside. My sister knocked on the glass. Harder this time. The man stood and opened the door just enough to speak to her. Ma'am, you need to step away. She laughed nervously. What is this? Some kind of mistake. She's always lying. She literally asked me for money 10 minutes ago. The man looked at her, not unkindly, just finished with the conversation before it even began. There's no mistake, he said, and this conversation is no longer appropriate. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Through the glass, I watched her read the room for the first time in her life. The staff wasn't playing along. No one was smiling. No one was on her side. She looked at me then, really looked, and I could see the question forming in her head, loud and desperate. If she has that much, what does that make me? I stood, straightened my jacket, and walked out of the office. The lobby parted for me like water. And behind me, my sister whispered my name, not mockingly this time, terrified. I didn't answer her. I didn't need to. The truth had already landed, heavy and unavoidable, and no amount of talking would soften it. I walked past her, past the stunned tellers, past the glass doors that had once felt intimidating and now felt small. Outside, the air felt different, lighter, like something I'd been carrying for years had finally been set down. My phone buzzed before I reached the curb. My sister, then my mother, then my father. I ignored them all. Inside the bank, I knew exactly what was happening. Questions, panic, rewritten memories. My sister explaining loudly how she had always helped me, how she never knew, how this was all a misunderstanding. But the room wouldn't respond the way it used to. Power had shifted, and everyone could feel it. That evening, my parents finally reached me, not with anger, not with lectures, with fear. They asked why I never told them. They asked when it happened. They asked what I planned to do next. I told them nothing, because the point was never to prove I was rich. It was to prove I wasn't weak. The next day, my sister sent a message, long emotional, apologetic in the way people get when the ground beneath them disappears. She said she felt embarrassed. She said she hoped we could move past this. I didn't reply. I closed the account I'd used in that bank, moved the funds elsewhere, quietly, cleanly. A week later, I heard she stopped joking about money, about me, about anything. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need to correct the story people told about me. They'd already learned the only lesson that mattered. You never know who's powerful until you try to humiliate them.